Hello everyone, Andrew's Collectibles here. Today I'm doing a review of Marvel's Netflix series, The Punisher Season 1. And all in all, I thought it was a great series. There was a lot to like about it. There was a little bit kind of that I didn't like, and I'll go through that in the podcast. And this is part of the new series that I'm doing on Thursdays, where I will be reviewing a book, movie, TV series, usually something like a first season or a second season of what I thought about it, what the pros and cons were, and with Marvel's The Punisher, it follows up on The Defenders, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Luke Cage, all those sort of shows in the Marvel Netflix cinematic universe, and deals with Frank Castle, whose family was killed, obviously in the kind of learned about it in the second season of Daredevil. But it follows up more on that, and it's a pretty good show. It's definitely super graphic, not made for like small children, but Jon Bernthal, the lead actor, is awesome. I loved him in The Walking Dead. I liked him in Wolf of Wall Street. He's been in a bunch more shows. He's a really strong actor, and I think, in my opinion, he's perfect for Frank Castle. The guy that they chose for Micro was a good version or a good actor for him. I can't remember his name offhand, but honestly, having read the Punisher comics, a lot of them, Micro, I can see how they wanted to give him that more of a hipster vibe to make it more current, and that worked for him. And the fact that him and Frank eventually, spoiler alert, became buddy was good, because if you've read the comics, you know how that turns out. So that will add for an interesting dynamic, maybe season 2, season 3. And the main villains, they were okay this season. There was no want to call it like super, what would you say, super intense villain. Like in Jessica Jones, there was no like main arch enemy. It was just kind of Frank on a rampage, killing everybody and finding out the truth. But at the end of the season, it does set up for him to have like his main villain. So if you've read the comics, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's setting up for season 2. His main villain is going to be super, super intense and super graphic, if you know much about the Punisher. So what I liked about it, obviously, Jon Bernthal, super strong actor. His dynamic with Micro was great. I found myself laughing quite a bit at at just how like somber Frank was and how goofy Micro was. I also liked how it showed a different side of Frank with his relation to Micro's wife. I think he kind of like took her under his wing as to atone for the fact that he doesn't no longer have a wife or kids. So he looked at that as an opportunity for like to humanize himself, or maybe that's what they decided to do with regards to how they directed it. But either way, that worked. What else worked? The fighting sequences. Frank is just so awesome. Like the Punisher, he's definitely not afraid to get into it, and not afraid to use any means necessary to get the job done, and that's why I like him. I like those gray characters, that aren't afraid to bend the rules. That's why I don't really like Daredevil, because he's kind of like got the moral code where Frank is like less moral, because if he knows that people do wrong. He's kind of like Batman on steroids type thing. He's got the fighting skills of Batman, but he's not afraid to kill. So that's why I like the Punisher. What I didn't like, what can I say without spoiling too much? I hated the storyline with the returning war vet that went sideways. I felt like that was pointless. There was no point in having him in any of the story. Lewis was just a filler character. I feel like they needed to stretch 3 episodes, so they just kind of went on a tangent about how he was involved. Made no sense. It honestly annoyed me to the point of wanting to fast forward his scenes. I don't know if it was the actor or the writing, but it wasn't very good. What else didn't work? I mean, it deals with the same thing as most Netflix shows do. Is the suspension of, or not Netflix shows, Marvel Netflix shows, the suspension of disbelief on a character's ability to heal. So Frank gets just like the tar beat out of him several different times, gets shot about 50 times in the course of the season, and is always back up and at it in like a day, it seems. Like his blood goes septic and they heal him, and all of a sudden he's back to normal in a couple days, walking around doing chin ups. That doesn't work. I mean, in the real world, you got like a 6 week recovery from that. And obviously, it's not going to be fun to watch a show where Frank lays there for 6 weeks, but some time lapse needs to show on the show to show that he's been out of it for a while. He wakes up and he's got the same facial hair, same beard, same hair, but at the beginning of the season, he's grown his hair long and grown a beard. Maybe something of that would have shown that more time has passed. That really didn't work for me. And talking with some of like my family members and other people that have watched the show, it kind of bugged them too, because Frank is not a superhero. He's not Luke Cage. He's not Jessica Jones. He doesn't have superpowers. He doesn't have the chi of the Iron Fist. Like, he doesn't have any of that. So how is he healing so fast? I mean, modern medicine can only do so much, and it's not like he has a night nurse either helping him out. But other than that, like the series was pretty good. Like, it's hard to do a super great review without spoiling it. But it's definitely worth checking out. If you like the Defenders, if you like Jessica Jones, if you like Luke Cage, you'll like The Punisher. And if you're a fan of John Bernthal or like dark action movies, check out The Punisher, because the first episode, if you watch it, it will have you hooked. The first episode, in not like other Marvel Netflix shows, the first episode is not slow moving. It is very fast moving. Episodes 2 and 3 are kind of a little bit slower, but episode 1, it's definitely worth watching. So hope you guys enjoy the review. Let me know what you thought of The Punisher. Let me know what you think of the Marvel Netflix universe. What do you think of it? What are some of your favorite shows? And what do you think is going to be next in Season 2 of The Punisher? Stay tuned for more great content. On the next AC review series, I'm going to be reviewing George R.R. Martin, author of Game of Thrones, his book, The Ice Dragon, which was one of the first books that he wrote. It's kind of like a children's story, but super duper dark. And with there now being ice dragons on Game of Thrones, spoiler, I felt like that would be worth reading. So it was actually pretty good, and I will have a review for you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.